Hi there, welcome to the first of today's 10-minute moans. In this episode, I'm going to discuss the finances of the SNP, which is finally the pennies dropping with other outlets, that this can be a problem for them. Now, this story that I'm going to read out is from The Spectator, quite a well-renowned political commentator. And they today, a couple of hours ago, put out on their website a story which has a headline, SNP financial woes set to worsen. Okay. And I wonder if that is Steerpike. I think that's one of their contributors who has wrote this article. So the story goes, back to Scotland where the Nats are still reeling after their general election defeat. The national poll left the SNP with just 9 seats, and the exodus has rocked the sessionists. It transpires that while Stephen Flynn has remained leader of the Westminster group, Pete Wishart is now deputy and Kirsty Blackman is the new party chief whip. Why they need one of them, I don't know. In fact, why they need a deputy, I don't know. Anyhow, but while the SNP attempts to reassemble, there are financial problems to worry about. Thanks to the bad publicity of the ongoing police probe into party funds, members' donations have dried up. And now it turns out that the SNP is facing more post-election financial woes. The party is set to lose out nearly £1 million of short money now that it's no longer the third largest party in Westminster. And having fewer MPs means the Nats will also lose individual contributions usually paid to the party HQ by their politicians. These are both things that I've been talking about since probably February. These are the reasons why I tactically voted and why I pushed people and asked people to tactically vote, because I know the consequences of this when I read their accounts around about January of this year. Now, their accounts were for the year 2022, their financial year is a calendar year. Their 2023 accounts will have been put into the Electoral Commission in the last few days, because last year it was due to be in on the 7th of July. So that will have already been submitted, and it will probably be about another 2 to 3 weeks before the public have sight of their accounts. But their 2022 accounts showed a black hole in a non-election year where their only big expense was their party conference, in which they spent £500,000 on. But this year, they obviously have costs for elections, and their shop money, etc., will be decimated. This is exactly what I've been talking about for nearly 6 months, because they get two big income streams which come purely and dependent purely on the number of MPs that they have, and that is their shop money, which was about 1.3 million, plus their what they called a ministerial levy, which was about £500,000. So they had £1.8 million coming in for the last 4 or 5 years, based on that amount of politicians, which started at 48 and ended at 43, because obviously there's a few defectors and they lost a couple of by-elections during the last parliamentary phase of Westminster. So this is what I've been talking about for months, and others are starting to pick up on it. So where do we get to? As the Times reported, last year, the SNP's Westminster leader increased his parliamentarian's annual contribution to pooled funding by 3% to £11,893 per person, right? So they were putting in 3% of their wages. And Mr. Swinney had learned that each member of the Parliament was expected to pay, sorry, Mr. S will be the writer of this article, approximately £250 per month to the party. The party lost 39 MPs, so you can work that out yourself, excuse me, to end up with just 9 after the election, meaning the SNP headquarters will miss out on over £100,000 per year going forward from their MPs on the ministerial levy, and around £500,000 over the next parliamentary term. Ouch, it says. So the figures that they put are a wee bit different from mine, but it doesn't really matter because it's a big chunk whether I'm right or they're right or we're both close, right? There's more bad news for national researchers and press officers, as many have already been made redundant this week. Sources tell Steerpike that there has been a culling spree, with the Westminster group down to just 4 staff from around 25 previously. Now that's massive, not including staffers for individual MPs. It's the one time the party has been efficient, an insider joked. Now this will be an insider from the SNP, obviously, to give you an idea and with their thoughts in the party, if they think trimming their staff by default because they had to, because they've nobody left at Westminster, that's the one time the party's been efficient. I quite like that joke. So, Group leader Stephen Flynn attempted to muster some maturity in Westminster on Tuesday, telling the House that there's possibly a few more new members from Scottish constituencies than I would like to have seen. But I do look forward to working constructively with you. Charming. Yet, while many of Flynn's former colleagues have shared their shock at the SNP's poor result last week, Hannah Bardell has produced a series of TikToks lamenting her loss. While weepy Alison Fewlis was photographed at her count, many party staffers are rather unsympathetic. Several had blasted the SNP HQ's delusion that it was going to do better in the poll, while one added, "We've been warning them for ages, they just don't listen." So this tells me what's going on in there. They didn't believe, and I didn't believe the polls, I'll need to be honest with you, because there was such a vast difference between them. But some of them had suggested 7. I think that was the smallest poll result I've seen for the SNP pre-election. And another few were about 11 and 13. There was a few under the 20. But there was ridiculous ones that saying they were going to be 30-something. So obviously the party, HQ, had been like, no, we're going to do great here, we're going to do better. And I remember at one campaign interview, Stephen Flynn actually suggested that the number could go up. That's delusional. So now that you're seeing stories for the inside, now you're seeing people writing about the stuff I've been predicting, and it's not a prediction, it was just a statement of fact, that if we can get their numbers down, it could help wipe them out. And as I repeat, a party that lost £800,000 in 2022 and only had about 50 grand in the bank, it's not looking so good. Now, there was somebody in the comments section of the Scotsman the other day made a claim that I have got nothing to back it up other than someone else writing it in a newspaper comment. And it was the comments at the bottom of an online article in the Scotsman. And there was a rumour and a suggestion that the Liquidators administrators had visited SNP's offices recently. Now, I'm not saying that's true. Okay, I'm just putting it out there. That's someone else's opinion. However, they surely can't be far away from that, because they'll know a better picture than us, because the most recent accounts for 2023, the public will not know for another few weeks before we can all have a look at them, digest them, and get a better picture of where they are currently. Now, that current picture will be based on the income from Westminster being like where was that? 1.3, about 1.8 million quid in total, right? It's not going to be anywhere near that, but at least it will give outsiders a look at the other costs involved. You know, the other sort of, they'll have a lot of fixed costs for rents and stuff like that. That will be easy to predict where they're going to be. I doubt they'll be spending £500,000 in a conference in 2024, because it's normally about October. So I doubt they'll do that. But there'll be a cost in there for what they've done last year in October 2023, and it'll give outsiders an idea of where they are, and then we can predict with a loss of income where that would put them. And it's a lot of wooden dollars in the short money, because when you have less money coming in for short, it's because you have less staff need. So, you know, that will look after itself, but these people will incur costs and redundancies and all these things, and it's not looking good for the SNP whatsoever. But I'm heartened that other people are now cottoning onto this thing that I've been talking about for 6 months, and I stand by the belief that the actions of the Scottish electorate could go some way in actually destroying the SNP financially and see the end of them as a party. So if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing and hitting the notifications bell. But most importantly than that, unless you are the SNP or their ever decreasing cult members, everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.